A very good afternoon to all the students of class 10. Today I'm going to take up the poem For Anne Gregory, written by William Butler Yeats. William Butler Yeats was an Irish poet whose lifespan was from 1865 to 1939. He has won the Nobel Prize for Literature. He was a poet, a dramatist, and a writer. And his best works, acknowledged by most of the people, were written after he received the Nobel Prize for Literature. So today we take on this poem, and the highlight of this poem is about inner beauty and outward beauty. Okay, so the poem is a conversation between the poet and this young girl, Anne Gregory, who is the granddaughter of Lady Gregory. And they are both carrying out a conversation where the poet is highlighting that everybody falls in love or is captivated by outward beauty, whereas Anne wants to find a lover who only loves her for who she is, irrespective of her outward beauty, her physical beauty. So I will read the poem and explain it to you side by side. Never shall a young man, thrown into despair by those great honey-colored ramparts at your ear, love you for yourself alone and not your yellow hair. So here this stanza has been said by the poet. Okay, the poet has spoken these words to Anne Gregory, and he says that never shall a young man, that it's never means it's almost impossible for a young man thrown into despair by those great honey-colored ramparts at your ear. Now, despair, there is a young man, the young man is a lover, okay? And why is he thrown into despair? Despair means loss of hope, sadness, okay? And because he has faced rejection. Rejection means that Anne has rejected his love. Why? Because this lover loved her only for her golden hair, her honey-colored, that means the blonde, okay, the blonde hair, and the honey-colored, color of honey, which acted like ramparts at your ear. Now, ramparts are a high defensive wall which is around a fort or a castle, and it's a protective wall, defensive wall, and you cannot see within, you know. So just as the defensive walls or the ramparts, the hair that is falling on her face, on her ears, on both sides, they act like a defensive wall. And the comparison with the hair and the ramparts, this defensive wall, has been done. So the figure of speech used here is a metaphor. A metaphor. Okay. Love you for yourself alone and not your yellow hair. Okay, so they are, they're in despair, and you have, because of the rejection that you have given, that they love you for your yellow hair, and you want them to love them for who you actually are. Okay, so here we see that ramparts was a metaphor. Then in the next line, love you for yourself alone. Why and why? Why and you and why and yourself, that's an alliteration. Again in the next line, your yellow. Why and why, alliteration. Okay. And this yellow hair, this means they are not basically talking about just the hair. Yellow hair here represents all the external beauty, you know. It could be the hair, it could be the eyes, it could be the nose, it could be the lips, it could be the face, you know. So all this means basically any physical feature. That is what yellow hair represents, okay. Now I'll give you a paraphrase for this. So what the poet is trying to say, that her beautiful hair can make anyone fall in love with her, anyone. And this love is for her beautiful physical features. Anne's hair have been compared to defensive walls, symbolizing outer beauty that prevents anyone from looking inside her soul, you know, looking within, beyond the walls, beyond the ramparts, or beyond the hair. They cannot see her inner beauty, because they are only captivated by the outward beauty, and this beauty stops them from looking within her to see her inner beauty, the beauty of a soul, the depth of a soul. And because they're captured by the outer beauty, man may never be able to look beyond that beauty and into Anne's character. This is what makes the speaker believe that no man can love Anne for what she is without her beauty. You know, I mean, the beauty is there first and foremost. So that is, it's bound to happen. Anybody who gets captivated or mesmerized or attracted, the first aspect is any form of beauty that strikes the lover. And there is only, one can love her for only her beauty. The first aspect is that is what the poet is trying to tell Anne. Okay, then we move on to the next stanza. But I can get a hair dye and set such color there, brown or black or carrot, that young men in despair may love me for myself alone and not my yellow hair. Now here she's, now this is the part that Anne replies to the poet. The poet says that if they are only mesmerized and captivated by my yellow hair, so in order to find a true lover, what will she do? In order to find a true lover, she will get her hair dyed into any shade. It could be brown, it could be black, it could be carrot, so that these people who want to love her, they are not captivated or they are not mesmerized by the hair alone, and they will then look within me and they will be able to see my inner beauty. So that is why she says that I will get my hair dyed. I can get a hair dye and set any color, be it black, brown, or carrot, so that these people are not, attracted towards the golden hair that she had, so that they overlook this aspect of beauty and they're able to see the inner beauty. So paraphrasing for that would be, in this stanza, Anne replied to the speaker, the poet, that what is visible, outwardly is very superficial, as she can easily dye her hair, using any other color such as black, brown or carrot. Just as the color of the hair can be changed, outer beauty of any kind will also change. And this is a fact, because with the passage of time, beauty fades away, beauty perishes, because old age sets in, youth is not, going to be there forever. So it will definitely change and it will go into old age. So beauty will perish, will fade away. So that is what she's trying to tell the poet. She lays stress on the fact that anyone who falls in love with her must see the actual person behind the beauty. So one should love her for what she is and not for her outward beauty or appearance. So that is why she wants to get her hair dyed. Why? Because she feels that maybe she can then find a true lover. Because if the golden hair are the only thing that people are, being mesmerized by, so she will change that color. She will change the color of her hair so that they are not limited only to that part, and then they can be able to see my inner self, and then maybe she will be able to find a true lover. Okay. Now in the second stanza, in the second line, set such, SS, so that's an alliteration. In the next line, brown or black, BB, that's an alliteration. Then we come on to the next line, may love me for myself. So M in may, M in me, and M in myself, that's an alliteration. And then we see last line, and not my yellow hair. Okay, so yellow hair was there in the first stanza also. The only difference is that in the first stanza it was your yellow hair, because the personal pronouns are changed, because here the poet was speaking. In the second stanza Anne is speaking, that's why it's my and your, but we can see the repetition. Okay, All right, then we come on to the third stanza. Now here again the poet says, I heard an old religious man but yesternight declare that he had found a text to prove that only God, my dear, could love you for yourself alone and not your yellow hair. So the poet is telling Anne that he had heard an old religious man, maybe a saint or a priest. Yesternight means yesterday night, okay? Declare, and he announced, and he was reading, and he said that he had found a text to prove. Text is maybe they're referring to the religious book or the holy book, that is the Bible, to prove that only God, my dear, could love you for yourself alone. So he's trying to tell Anne, and he tells her, my dear, that it is only God who can love you and accept you with unconditional love. It's only God. And it's been proven in the religious text also. So what he's trying to reiterate, he's trying to emphasize on the fact that what Anne is thinking is not right. It can never happen that way, because it is only God who can love us unconditionally for whom we are or what we are. And men will always look into the aspect of beauty first, okay? And God will not take into account the yellow hair or the outward beauty, but it's only God who accepts us with unconditional love. And the poet also tries to say, he tries to conclude, that since time, he's trying to conclude with the truth. It's actually the truth that since time immemorial, man, cannot easily judge a woman other than her looks or other than her physical beauty. Okay, so that is it is quite a truth actually. Okay. Anne can be ugly inward or outward, even if she wishes to be, but what it is that man since time immemorial has always looked into the outward aspect of beauty in a woman. Okay. All right. Now let's see the figures of speech over here, please. Yesternight is yesterday night, or the previous night. Then third line we have he had, H and H. He had, that's an alliteration. Then text, as I told you, could refer to the Bible, so a biblical allusion kind of a thing. That only God, my dear, could love you for yourself, you and yourself. Why? Alliteration. Next line also, your yellow, again an alliteration, and also a repetition. Okay, this is a repetition of the last line in the first stanza, and both these stanzas have been spoken by the poet, so it's a repetition. And repetition means to lay emphasis on what the poet wants to put across, what he wants to tell Anne, that that only God can love you for your inward beauty, where as far as man is concerned, he will always be taken in by your external beauty, and it's very difficult to find such a lover. Okay, so that is that. So what is the poet basically? The poem. The poem is basically a conversation between the poet and this young girl, Anne. Now, why do you think, what is the background for this poem kind of a thing? So why such a topic has come up? What the poet is trying to say, that the young man is trying to discuss why a person falls in love. What is it that makes him fall in love? What determines this falling in love? So he's trying to tell her that he feels that a person is not loved for his basic nature, but because of his or her physical features. Okay, it's not possible to love anyone for being oneself only. It is not possible at all. Okay, so paraphrasing for the last one. Third stanza. Humans do not have the understanding to go beyond the physical aspect and give preference to the inner beauty and qualities of a person. That is, to actually deeply analyze the soul of a person. And we do hear beauty is skin deep, I mean, it doesn't hold so much of importance, outward beauty. Humans are captivated by the outwardly glitz and glamour of a person, and they never go into the depth of knowing a person internally, or do some, soul searching work, okay? And beyond the appearance and beauty. And it's only God who can love a person without any conditions, unconditionally. It is only God who can love her for herself and not for her beauty. Okay. Then we come on to the fact. Okay, we move on to the theme of the poem. It resides in the third stanza. Okay, so the theme is that no human being or no man can, actually fall in love, keeping aside the physical or outward beauty. Okay, so it's impossible. That is possible only for God, because God is the only one who truly loves us unconditionally and accepts us the way we are. Okay, all right. So sometimes, because, actually we see into this deeper aspect, it's very important to, know a person from within, because looks can be deceptive. A person may be very good looking and, be very attractive and very charming, but may not be so beautiful within, may not have a beautiful heart, may have a beautiful face, but not have a beautiful heart. So it's only when you interact and you realize and, you mix around with people, only then you can gauge their true beauty. It happens, because these days people wear masks, not literally, but, you cannot judge people, when you meet them, or when you, it's only when you interact with them and, you deal with them to a greater extent that you can actually gauge a person. Sometimes, unless and until, of course, you're an excellent judge of character, you come to know immediately what this person is. But so many times it happens, like, among friends also, when you confide in somebody and you make somebody your confidant, and later on you realize that you made the biggest mistake of your life, because when that friend stabs you in the back, or, she sneaks on you, or she, spills the beans or your secrets in public, and, so it's very, very difficult to find a true person actually. But then faith and trust is one thing that makes a relationship go, and a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of sacrifice, and, because there's a lot of give and take in a relationship, that kind of a thing. Okay. Okay. What does the young man, question and answers, please. What does the young man mean by by honey-colored or ramparts at your ear? Why does he say that young men are thrown into despair by them? These men, they are attracted towards the honey-colored hair or the beautiful golden hair. That is a big asset for this girl, and they leave the men folk spellbound, and they are smitten by them. So they fall in love. They fall in love with her. But when she rejects them, they are in a state of helplessness, hopelessness, and they are sad at this dejection. Okay, because she does not reciprocate their love, because she has a different ideology. Okay, because she feels that the men should love her for who she is and what she is from within, and not because of her outward beauty. Okay, what color is the woman's hair? What does she say she can change it to? Why would she want to do so? Now, the young woman's hair is yellow in color, or honey colored, or she's blonde. She says that she can easily change that aspect, because in today's world you can dye your hair using various shades, like it could be brown, or it could be black, or it could be carrot. And she wants to dye her hair because she wants to find or seek a true lover for herself, because the golden hair, she knew that everybody was captivated by the beauty of the golden hair. But so she wanted to dye them a different shade so that they would not get attracted to the hair, and they would, when her hair was dyed in a different color, they would be able to see her from within, to see that beauty that lies there within. And if they could see that beauty that lies within her, then she would be able to find a true lover. That is why she wants to dye her hair. Okay. Now the next question is, when they're talking about objects, they have qualities and, things like that. So, yes, when we are talking, it's a little different with objects and human beings. Objects, yes, we do take into account what they look like and, whether they are attractive or things like that. But more important than that, we stress on the fact about the inner features. For example, you're talking about a car, okay? So the car, of course, to, outwardly, it must be very, very attractive and, looking very sleek and something like that. And, owner's pride and, neighbor's envy kind of a thing. But basically, when you go in for that also, you try to look into the other features of the car, the mileage that it gives, which is very, very important, and the various other features that are there. Similarly, if you want to buy a mobile, you also lay more stress on the various features it has, what it offers you, the durability of an object, So all that, for all these things also, objects also, we do take into account the inner qualities of the object. So it's very, very important that when we are, dealing with human beings, that should be the right aspect. We should not get, attracted towards only the outward aspect of a person, but we should actually go deeper, and we should look within that person to see whether the person has noble qualities, is, good at heart, all those things have to be seen. Okay. Because for objects, we do talk about durability and we talk about the workability and the features and everything. Okay. All right. Now, when we love a person, also we do love a person for his qualities, of course. And relations and affections do count in our likings. And basically, when we like somebody, we like that person in an integrated form, a complete, as a whole, So we take into account, we should take into account all the aspects when we are looking for a true relationship or a true friendship or, any other. It's not necessarily between a lover and a beloved kind of a thing. It's for other relations also. We must actually try to take into account all the features, physical, mental, moral, and spiritual. Okay, so when we look into all these aspects, then we get a complete wholeness. We get an integrated personality with all the qualities. Love can never be in isolation from other things, So it's only God who can love us, because He wants nothing from us in return. Remember that. Human relations are all give and take kind of a thing, And maybe even if that is not there, still we all do have a vested interest. It's only God who loves us unconditionally and accepts us, because He wants nothing from us in return. Okay. Now, so that is that, I think. That is all. I think so, children, the poem was not very long, and I think with the question and answers and with the explanation, it may have become easier for you. It's only, I think I overlooked one thing. In the third stanza, third line, third and the fourth line, both these lines begin with the word that and that. Consecutively in two lines, that and that has been used. Now this is an anaphora. The figure of speech is an anaphora. Okay. This reminds me of the poem The Beauty and the Beast, sorry, the story The Beauty and the Beast. and of course now it's in the shape of a movie also, and it's actually beautiful, you know, because when she falls in love with that beast, so-called beast, you know. Of course, in the fairy tale, then there is a spell and a thing, but otherwise in the movie, if you see Beauty and the Beast, how for that ugly ape kind of a thing, and how, you know, then they sacrifice, and, you know, it's beautiful. So a person, we cannot be condescending towards anybody. You know, that doesn't mean that if we are good looking, we are beautiful, and we try to make fun of others and look down upon others who may be not so good looking. So basically, all the goodness comes in the form of a beautiful heart, not a beautiful external body like that, you know, not the physical features, you know, because sometimes we see that, you know, some of the most simplest and unassuming people, they're so beautiful at heart, you know, and you know, there's so much of loyalty and so much of gentleness in people who may not be so well off. And sometimes people who are so well off, and you know, they go in those sleek cars and everything, but their heart is you know, very, very small. They're not generous at all. They're so miserly and things like that, you know. So all these aspects, so the goodness in a person actually makes one beautiful, and we must remember that we all should be beautiful from within. And if you're beautiful from within, that beauty automatically radiates outwardly also, because if you're a good person at heart, you will always be good outwardly also. So thank you for watching. God bless you all.